guys, so today I've got probably my most prized possession out of all my paintball guns here to show you guys, and that is the WGP Karnivor Pro. Oh. So these things were made in pretty limited numbers. This is number 3806. If anyone else has a Karni Pro and wants to write their number below, that'd be kind of neat. These were kind of WGP's last hurrah as far as autococker technology goes, and you know, at this point, I don't think they really knew that they were done as a company. Maybe they did, I don't know, but you know, at the time they were making this, which was around 2007, you know, the egos were coming out. Bob Long was making crazy good intimidators. Angels were just like ridiculously good. You know, there were other companies like McDev and stuff like that. You know, not a lot of people were still making autocockers, and you know, a lot of people will say, like, I don't understand why. You know, you take one of these, it's a $1,700 gun, but it's totally comparable to, you know, its $1,700 counterparts, its $2,000 counterparts. It's totally comparable. It'll shoot just as fast, if not faster. You know, it's just as accurate, if not more accurate. And I think that that's probably part of the reason why that it went bust. You know, you can spend $2,000 on an autococker that works just as well as a $2,000 Bob Long or Angel or whatever, except the Bob Long and the Angel and the whatever is a hell of a lot easier to maintain than one of these. Now, if you just don't mess with this, it'll be fine. You know, the manual says just put a drop of oil in the ASA and feed that through. And it runs kind of counterintuitive to what a lot of electro-pneumatic paintball guns say, because they get oil in the solenoids, but you know, that's what the manual says, so okay. Aside from that, these, you know, these are Karnivors in general are just beautiful guns. The milling is this neat kind of scale kind of milling to really drive home that almost like T-Rex kind of carnivore impression that it's got going on. If you can get this a little closer, still be in focus, whatever. You can see it's got three different anodizing styles going on. It's got a matte black, a polished black, and a polished gold, which, you know, some people call it gold, some people call it yellow. It's a very yellow gold, but this was the black gold Karnivor color combination. You know, they're pretty distinctive guns, especially like this. They almost look like angry wasps. I need to get more centered here. They almost look like angry wasps, the way that they look. You know, this kind of back-swept HPR is something you don't really get these days, which is kind of unfortunate because it's really comfortable, and it looks good too. Caner barrel. It's a two-piece barrel. Still an amazing barrel. You know, one of my only gripes with this is the feed neck, but at the time, this was pretty much the best feed neck technology they had, unfortunately. You can take this whole thing off. It's set on here with set screws, and you can put whatever feed neck you want on here, so long as it's that autococker style feed neck that clamps onto the gun itself. So one of the things that makes the Pro Series Karnivor different from the regular Karnivor, aside from the regular Karnivor series having a lot more color options and being released earlier, I think they were released around 2006, This was released around 2007, 2008. So it really was when WGP was, you know, in its death throes. The Pro Series has these integrated QEVs, quick exhaust valves, there and here. And what those do is they vent the air out of this ram housing extremely fast. So this, you know, this gun is capable of crazy high rates of fire. If you can figure out how to set the board, it'll do 30 BPS easy. And the reason I say if you can figure out how to set the board is because this uses an E2 board, and you know, it kind of speaks a different language than what we're used to today. You know, there is no dwell, there's no you know, no I delay, there's none of that. There's BF delay, I don't know what that does. There's timing, which, you know, in theory you're like, oh yeah, you know, you time an autococker, it only makes sense that there's a timing setting, right? But what does that actually do? I don't know. So you kind of need the manual these days to know what the hell's going on with these E2 blades. The autococker SR, which was released after the Karnivor, not quite as nice in my opinion. It's a lot more integrated parts, a lot more polymer to it. It speaks a more modern language, and it'll shoot real fast, but it's not a Karnivor. You know, one of the interesting things about a Karnivor is this trigger, and you can see it's kind of got this double blade at the bottom. Just almost like a forked tongue, and the way this trigger works is it uses a magnetic breakaway up at the top here. So it gives you a lot of resistance right at the beginning, and as soon as you break away, it just kind of, there's nothing to it, it just goes, and then it immediately snaps back because the magnet pulls it back to this ready position. And I don't think I've ever seen this on another gun other than the Karnivor. Most guns these days that use magnetic return triggers have the magnets at the back of the trigger, so it pushes the trigger forwards instead of, you know, pulling it back up. And it you know, it really creates this interesting snappiness to it, almost like it's chomping at the bit for you to fire it faster. And that's kind of another thing about the Karnivor. You know, I talk about in one of my other Bob Long Ripper videos about how when you fire the Ripper, it almost gives you this feeling like you're hitting a home run, you know, hitting the sweet spot of your baseball bat or your tennis racket or something like that. This doesn't give you that same sweet spot feeling, maybe because there's just so much going on, but it does give you a feeling, and that feeling that it gives you is that you are in complete control of the field. And you know, you kind of, it gives you the feeling like you're dictating the play, because no matter how fast you shoot this thing, the feedback it gives you is that it's happy you're shooting it, and it's happy you're getting people out, but it's a little pissed off you're not shooting it faster. And it's really hard to describe. It's almost like it's this, you know, like warhorse that's bred to stomp people's faces, and you know, no matter how many faces it's stomping, it still wants to stomp more, faster. And you know, maybe that in part is why they called it a Karnivor, because it definitely gives you that feeling like it's hungry. And it's just, you know, everything about this is beautiful, really, in this kind of dilapidated way that autocockers are. Just kind of ass backwards, but just so amazing. There's probably going to be a lot of people out there who are pissed off that I said that, but it's true. Autocockers are ass backwards, you know, like they took a pump gun and they made it pump itself. It's just kind of, you know, what happened to Occam's razor. You know, for anyone who doesn't know Occam's razor, it's you eliminate the complexities, the unnecessary parts, and you arrive at the simplest, most streamlined thing, and that is probably, you know, the best way to do it. That's Occam's razor, and this does not follow that principle, and because of that, it is amazing. You know, it's an autococker, so if it goes out of time, you better know how to time an autococker, because however hard a mechanical autococker is to time, this is an electronic autococker. There is way less margin of error with an electronic autococker. So this does have an E2 board in it. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this. I don't even know if that turned on. No, it didn't. Hang on. Hang on. Bear with me. There you go. E2. It is in training mode right now. So there's, what is there? There's semi-auto, there's semi-auto classic, and what that is when you pull the trigger, it will hold the back block open for as long as you have the trigger pulled until you release the trigger, and then it will release the back block. There is PSP ramping, Millennium ramping, 3-shot burst, and full auto. And there's this training mode, and training mode is what I have it in now because I want to dry fire this for you. Training mode is made for dry firing, so before people start getting all upset about it, this gun is made for that. And what training mode does is it shuts off the airflow to the IVG, so you're not actually cycling the marker. All you're doing is cycling air through the front block here. So all you're doing is causing it to move the back block. And it's a lot quieter. You can feel the air coming off of the QEVs like jets. So let me give you a little taste of this. Eyes are on. That's funny, this is the second time I've done this video. This is the second time I made that mistake. So the eyes are off, little eyes closed on the board. So let's see. I love this thing so much. What else can I say? You know, the eyes work pretty well, as I just demonstrated. It'll fire real fast. It's a weird trigger to get used to. It's different than other triggers. It just, you know, it's got a different pull signature to it. It takes a little bit of getting used to. You know, the E2 board still works. It's actually quite a beautiful board. This detent, fucking autocockers, you know, it only works when the bolt is open. So if you're running around holding your gun like this, the ball will roll out of the barrel. But who cares? It's an autococker. It'll shoot however fast you want it to shoot. So, you know, it doesn't really matter. Aside from that, you know, it is a beautiful gun. I think I picked this guy up for about 440 bucks. Still has its box, still has the manuals. This actually came with 2 different manuals in the box. It came with a manual for a WGP autococker, like a pro stock, and then they also threw in the E2 manual from Planet Eclipse. So you've kind of got to read both of them to figure out how to work the gun. They didn't just create a Karnivor series manual, probably because they didn't make enough of them. But you know, these things are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. If you guys have a chance to pick one up, I highly recommend you do it. Just keep in mind, when you own an autococker, when you own an autococker, especially a Karnivor, you don't just own it. You don't just play with it. You are the curator of a piece of paintball history, and you need to respect it. And you need to keep it going so that future generations can know what they are missing out on. Because there is nothing like this. And I strongly doubt that there will ever be anything like this again. Maybe there will, I don't know. But that's part of the mystique of the Karnivor. You know, it's arguably one of the most beautiful paintball guns ever made. In terms of just the milling, the colors, the design, the whole way they designed this autococker is just, you know, it's just beautiful. But it's also kind of sad because this is like the Spinosaurus of the autocockers. You know, it was the last great big dinosaur that was just too big. It was just too big and too awesome. And you know, as other guns started coming out that were just blowbacks, and you know, they cost $200-400, it just, you know, these couldn't stay going. They just fell to the times like the Angels did. That sounded really dramatic. I meant the paintball company, Angel. And you know, we're lucky enough that we still have McDevs and Bob Longs. But you know, now it's kind of the age of the egos and the dies. These are just, you know, just gone. So if you get a chance to pick one of these up, I highly recommend you do. In the meantime, I will leave you with this.